Hi, I'm Logan Browning,
My name is Christian Maglich.
and we have discrimination in sport. Discrimination in sports is a widely spoken about topic nowadays, now that there's been a lot of things on the news, such as racism, gender, disability, I don't know, ethnicity, culture. All of it's pretty prevalent right now, but gender discrimination is a big one. And there has been a lot of talk about pay gaps within sports. Mostly I've seen it's WNBA versus the NBA, and that's a pretty wide gap. To say that. The WNBA versus the NBA, there's a player in the WNBA, Sylvia Fowles, who is probably one of the top players in the league. She led the league in, I think, points per game and assists per game. She was fourth in blocks, I think third in steals, something like that. And at the end of the year, she's only going to make $109,000. And then you have the NBA side of it, Leandra Barbosa, player for the Phoenix Suns, who is not a wide talked about player at all. Just got waived off of his contract and won't even play in the NBA this season, but will end up getting paid $500,000.
That's crazy.
So there's obviously an issue there. There is a huge pay gap, but there are reasons behind it. The NBA does they do bring in $5.9 billion a year throughout the league. And also the way they pay their players out is 50% of that $5.9 billion gets dished out to the players. So, I mean, obviously when you make more money as a league, you're going to be able to pay your players more. More people want to come watch. There's superstars like LeBron James. There's Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Everybody knows Russell Westbrook, all of that. So, I mean, there are some superstars in the NBA that are more entertaining, I would say. I mean, the WNBA doesn't have the attendance that the NBA does, but also they do get paid 50%. And the WNBA, we do not have a revenue for them from this year, I guess, but they only get paid regardless of what the revenue is. They get paid 25% dished out to all the players.
Yeah, I don't think the pay gap is necessarily ethical, but given the fact that the NBA brings in a lot more money than the WNBA, it just kind of makes more sense to pay them more. So I feel like if you want to eliminate that gap, the best thing to do is pay more attention to WNBA. They need to find a way to make more money, I guess.
Yeah, that could be with not really merchandise. I mean, ticket sales, obviously, but they're just got to find more ways to get fans out there. And some more gender discrimination is there's been some talk about females that would like to play male sports, like such as football, and why can't females play college football? Obviously, most of the time, they're bigger, stronger, faster, but some women don't like that. I mean, there are some strong women out there, and there is one in particular, Becca Long, she was a kicker in high school, and a very good one at that on our high school football team. And she actually got a scholarship to Adams State, which is a Division II college, and is the kicker there. And she's the first female college football player ever. So, breaking some barriers there, opening some doors, and probably inspiring other girls around the world who want to follow their dreams and play different kinds of sports and break some barriers as well. About racism?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about racism in sports and how it's becoming a lot bigger deal than it has been in the past. So basically, sports should be a way to escape racism. You know, you see LeBron James is the number one player in the NBA, debatably. Everyone loves him. He brings fans together. And you'd think that'd be a way to unite fans, but it's actually not that. Recently, LeBron's house was actually spray painted with racial slur, the N-word, on his house. Pretty bad hate crime that shows that fans aren't really getting over the racial gap in sports. Another instance of racism in the past few years is there was a sign at a Boston Red Sox game a fan brought that says, "Racism is as American as baseball," and that's obviously pretty bad. Not really 2018 sign. And at that game, Adam Jones was also taunted by fans with racial slurs. Those fans were kicked out. And to me, that's pretty unethical. Shouldn't be in sports, shouldn't be anywhere in society. And yeah.
Yeah, to bring it to a public place like that is kind of there's a right way and a wrong way to express your opinion, especially on something like that. I mean, racism is obviously not okay. It's unethical regardless, but if you do feel that way, bringing it to a Red Sox game is almost a publicity stunt, you could say. I mean, Red Sox fans are loyal. They're going to pack the stadium every night, and you do that just towards Adam Jones, who is not the only African American on the team. I mean, I'm sure they had David Ortiz, who's not really African American, but I mean, it's racist regardless. So
These players have some of the best work ethics off the field, on the field. It's crazy. They handle themselves in a pretty professional way. There's not much reason not to like them besides if you're racist.
it is impressive that even with the racial slurs, they keep themselves together. I mean, Adam Jones didn't react to it at all. He waited till post game to actually say that he heard something about it and he heard it, but he could have easily turned around during the game and blew up, something probably I would have done, but held himself together. And talk about disabilities, or
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So the next discrimination topic we will be discussing is discrimination over disabilities.
disability. Yeah, that's a huge one. There are organizations that do help children and adults with disabilities who want to participate in sports. You got the Special Olympics, the Paralympics, things like that. So it does open a wide range of opportunity for these kids to participate in the sports that they necessarily wouldn't be able to. And studies show that I think 38% of parents who have kids with disabilities don't even know that things like this exist. I mean, they obviously know about the Special Olympics, but there's also Special Olympics branches off into smaller things throughout communities that kind of bring kids together who don't get the opportunity to, I guess, play a high school sport or play rec sports, things like that. So that's a huge one. And just that's very ethical, obviously. I mean, there's unethical and there's ethical things about it. Ethical and the reasons that they have these organizations to help these kids who really might need a push to want to play sports. They might love the sport, but they say, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to play that sport for that long. I'm not very good at it, whatever that is. And then it's unethical to discriminate kids like this because, I mean, they can't help the way they're born. It's upsetting when you see things like that, and upsetting when you see kids getting made fun of at school or things like that. So that is something that needs to stop, and there needs to be ways to, I guess, help students cope with things like that, and having them in these organizations like the Special Olympics or just some disability, I guess, athletic clubs you could start or things like that. But that's a pressing issue, I feel like, but it's definitely unethical to discriminate kids like that, and that's about it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cool videos on the internet of like disabled kids getting a shot in high school games, maybe letting them run the ball and stuff. There's a lot of instances of that, but there's also instances of bad discrimination in sports, like in the Olympics, in the paraplegic Olympics. A female who was the top of her sport was not given an opportunity to be sponsored by either Nike or Adidas because she didn't have feet and therefore couldn't really wear their shoes. She said she could wear their shirts, their shorts, represent them as much as she could, but they pretty much told her no.
So, in conclusion, all in all, discrimination is just not a place that should be in the sports world. It's not something that should be in the sports world at all. Like Maglich said, sports should be an escape from things like that. I mean, it's definitely my getaway when we go to practice every day. I mean, whether you have a ton of homework, you got tests, you got some kind of stress, you get to go to the field and drop it off for a couple hours and just play the game you love. So, I mean,
yeah, overall, it's pretty much there's some unethical and ethical things in it. For example, it's the team's job to win, no matter who's playing, but it's not really ethical to discriminate based on either race, gender, or disabilities, regardless of the talent.
a lot of the times winning isn't the only thing either. I mean, in youth sports, rec sports, I mean, they always have the everybody gets to play rule. So discriminating through a rec sport is probably tough for some kids, and I think it shouldn't happen. Everyone should get their chance. I mean, I've seen those videos too with the kids getting their chance to play high school basketball and like
Pretty cool.
letting them score. Man, that changes their lives. So
I'd say I'd draw the line at about like college athletics. At that point, it's pretty much all about winning. High school and below. High school is a little more about winning, but it's still about fun, letting every kid get their opportunity.
definitely. So discrimination is not a place or not a thing for the sports world or any world.
Anywhere in this world.
Peace, love, and positivity.
Thank you.